Cool. Hey, Brad, thanks for coming on the Nathan podcast, Nathan's Knucklehead Funcast. I appreciate you being on, man. We're both here in San Diego. We both go to different churches, and you got super big muscles. So the audience wants to know, how much are you benching?
Oh, dude, my bench right now is down, so down. I don't know, 315 maybe somewhere around there on a good day.
Whoa. Yeah, that's cool. You
Yeah,
broke the 300 number. I
that's
started
right.
doing that in
Three
near
plates.
a little bit after high school, and like my joints just started like really hurting.
That's really the
Uh,
thing.
so yeah, I would like to do that one day just to say I did broke 300. But
To get over
if I
three
have to look
plates.
as yeah, if I have to look as big as you to do that, then I don't think I could. I don't think I
No,
can.
no, man, I don't think you do. There's a
Okay.
lot of skinny, strong guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yep,
I can
yep.
be
It's
one of
all
them.
about muscle density. But you're
Yeah.
not a skinny guy. You're pretty stout, dude.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stout like my beer, right? I'm
yeah, yeah.
outside today
And
too,
your
so
beer.
I got my airplane camera.
Yes,
If we can catch airplanes.
that's
So
right. He's out there. I mean, me and Dylan, we're going to be doing we've shot a couple episodes of our podcast where you call it the Real Estate Bros of San Diego, kind of a spin-off of the Jimmy Tatro Real Bros of Simi Valley. You
oh,
ever seen
cool.
that? It's a
No,
funny,
I haven't.
it's a funny one. But yeah, we want to set up in iconic San Diego spots in the back of his van. We've done a couple of those episodes, so
Oh yeah,
that
you
might
know what?
that might be one of the spots we choose.
Yeah, no, I saw the thumbnail. I didn't get to click on it. I was like, I clicked on it and then I had someone talking to me. But I saw that you were like by the ocean, and one of them you posted on your Facebook. You and Dylan too.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, man. I don't want people to. This is my podcast, so I don't want anyone to go watch any other podcasts. I'm
Right.
afraid there's already too many.
Cut that
So
out. Cut
if
that
they get
out.
one, if they get an idea that you're doing one more, and there won't be any viewers for me. No,
That's
I'm
right. Yeah.
joking. But yeah, I was gonna start with an intro or whatever. But you mentioned Dylan and you starting your new company too. Can you talk a little bit about that? And we'll just jump into that there, and then maybe we'll
Sure.
work our way backwards.
Anything you would like, Mr. Chapman. Anything you'd like. So
Yes.
yeah, me and Dylan worked with a fellow buddy of ours at another company, and I had been there with those guys for I'd say 3.5 years. I think is when yeah, because I started in 21, knowing absolutely nothing about real estate. Learned a lot during that time, and then we just parted ways, like most partnerships. Oh, excuse me, coffee.
Yeah.
Like most partnerships do, I think, in this industry after a while, and needed to. I have all this knowledge. I love real estate. I love creative finance, and really, I like the idea of being able to work outside of the Starbucks in my car on the phone and just a laptop. So
Yeah.
I don't like clocking in.
Is that where you're at right now? And outside of
Mm,
Starbucks,
I am outside my local Claremont Starbucks, as
Claremont.
I usually do.
Is that the one on Balboa and Genesee? Because I want people to be
Balboa
able to
and
find you.
Well, actually, no, I go to that one too. They know me by name. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Every t-
Yeah.
I get the same drink. They're like, "Hey, Brad," so I'm a regular.
Do they know
Um,
you as Brad does real estate or just Bradley
no,
Garcia?
just Bradley that orders the venti with 2 extra shots and extra cream.
Oh, okay. Is it
I don't even
sugar
know if they
free or
do
is it all got you bought the sugar?
full sugar, baby.
What
I,
happens when you
I,
have to go to the bathroom? Do you inside or do you just
oh
drive
yeah,
away?
no, 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 no. They're great. They're little
Oh,
the
cool. Okay.
single, no, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do it
Yeah.
every. It's on. It's on.
Yeah. Well, you got to message me the code after we're done filming. And you the
They
bathroom
they
code.
change, dude. They change it. It's as long as a phone number, and they change it every day. So you got to ask.
Okay, cool.
So
So
annoying.
you're there. Which I gotta know which one are you at right now?
This one is the one on. It is on Claremont Drive, I believe. Or it's
Okay.
not Balboa. It's on Claremont Drive. It's right like this. The Sprouts. It's going down towards the five. There's a
Oh, okay.
Sprouts here. There's a Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
Across from Bay Park Tavern.
But okay, I'm probably the only person that wanted to know that question, so we can probably move on to like
That's
more
okay.
applicable questions.
No, that's all right.
Uh,
Well,
very
I'll
geographical
continue.
guy.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, we'll probably have a lot of tangents, so we'll get back to it. Like Donald Trump said, we're doing the weave, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But anyways, yeah. So I had a lot of specific knowledge, especially about novations, and I like doing novations as opposed to cash assignments because they usually net everyone, seller and investor included, more money, and they're much more transparent. So I like being honest with the seller and telling them I'm not the buyer. That's a great way to do it. So when I left, obviously, what am I going to do? This is a skill set I have, and it's very profitable if you can do it right. And so that's what I did. And Dylan ended up leaving, and because Dylan was the dispo guy, it was a match made in heaven. So I'm the
Dispo Dylan.
acquisitions. Dispo Dylan. So he knows, and it's great because we both have the same expectations. We've learned the same thing and the same process, and we know exactly what each of us needs to do and what each role we fill and what we bring to the table. So it's a great symbiotic relationship. So that's what we started. Take my deal to the finish line. I thought that was kind of a cute little funny saying because I always said, let's get this deal to the finish line.
Yeah.
And so and it was a free email that was not taken on Gmail. So I figured that was great. And yeah, so by the way, www.takemydealtothefinishline.com is where I would, if you want to work with us and after you figure out what we do, you can submit your deals there. So that's what I've been doing. I also I work with another friend of mine, and he does vacant land. So there it is. There's the
Yep.
stock photo, one pager right there. There's nothing
Yeah.
to it,
Sorry, I didn't
man.
mean to derail you. I just showing the audience what's up
Oh, no, no, no,
while
not
you
at all.
talk.
Please. And
No, yeah,
basically, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, I wanted to just I don't know who's gonna be watching this in the future too, but like, can you just explain real quickly, or maybe I can just give a quick explanation, like, of the dilemma. You saw a kind of like a niche in the market that needed to be filled. Like, so we work with a lot of wholesalers, and if I can get a butcher a quick explanation, wholesalers are when you basically selling the contract to buy a house. You have a seller that wants to sell their house. It probably needs a lot of work, or not so much work, but they want to sell it for a cash offer. You get that cash offer under contract, and then you sell that cash offer contract to a fix and flipper who pays you like kind of like a little fee in between. So you maybe you get a little bit of money, and then they take that, they fix it up, and then they get a lot more money. Stop me if that wasn't a great explanation, but
Nope.
um,
It's
it's been
great.
getting really difficult, because people want higher prices for their homes. A lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes. When you're selling it to a fix and flipper, you're not getting a ton of people, a ton of buyers, potential buyers out there. There's a lot more people that want to buy a home and live in it, like families and homestead buyers, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at least what I know about Novations, and you can educate me here, is that you are able to sell to a wider pool of people when you're, dispoing the deal or finding the buyer. You're able to sell to a lot more. It opens up the can more because you're putting it on the market. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah, you got it.
um,
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
those are the fundamental definitions
So
there.
the reason I'm interested, and a lot of people are interested, and I'm sure this is how you're filling a need in the market is, um, people won't sign that. The seller won't sell that initial contract if they're getting too low of a price. So that's kind of one, that kind of the biggest hurdle, the biggest objection, and is a real objection for wholesalers, is that they're only able to offer X amount of money
Mm-hmm.
because they have to sell it and leave all this room for the fix and flipper to make their money and take on
Mm-hmm.
all that risk.
Yep.
So can you talk about that a little bit and see if is that what made you what do you like about Novations? Is that what
Yeah.
kind of motivated you?
Yeah. So I came from what we were doing was I think what a lot of wholesalers are doing is very sales like KPI metrics driven, like high volume of calls and essentially like warm cold calling, trying to find even the leads that you do get. Every wholesaler that has done any lead generation knows that not every lead is going to lead to a deal. Very
They
few,
don't
in
all make it to
fact.
the finish line.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when I got out of that, I was a little burnt out, to be honest, with that type of business model. Um, so two things. I didn't have the capital to put into. I didn't have a ton of capital, right? My main source of income and entire sales pipeline had dried up in an instant. I actually did need to go get a W-2. I went back to dealing poker. That's what and we can get into that a little bit if you want, but
Oh, cool.
you know,
I could
yeah,
see you
just
doing that too. I didn't know that.
yeah, that was just so like I could make some quick money. It's easy. You can actually make decent money. So just to kind of like bridge the gap between, hey, I'm starting from absolute zero, without a ton of capital, no marketing. And so my entire business model now, was I also didn't want to have to do the like cold calling aspect of it. Again, I was just really burnt out over years of doing that. And so I was like, how can I do what I'm doing without doing that, but also providing some type of value to the market, to the marketplace at large. And I landed on kind of the business model that I've seen, guys like, Dante Pena here in San Diego, Rich Wonders out in Arizona, who I learned how to do novations from, Novation King on Instagram, shout out. He's kind of the guy that taught me how to do all that, which was a 100%, or he may have other marketing channels, but for me, it's a 100% JV partnership business model where the leads that I get come from my experience and expertise and people knowing, trusting, and liking me from my social media, seeing that I can do this type of transaction that, not a ton of people do. It's becoming a little more mainstream. But it isn't the quick cash assignment. It's not the quick, 21, 30-day close. It takes a lot more work to dispo. And so the need that I was filling was, you're right. When you do a cash assignment, when you work out the 70% of ARV offer minus repairs, minus your wholesale fee, a lot of times, if you're in like a $250,000 or $300,000 ARV sales price market, you're talking about, like, with that 30% in costs minus your repairs minus wholesale fee, you're almost at like 50% of value. The margin that's needed for a flipper and the wholesaler to both get in on that deal is like 50%. So there are a lot of deals that would be willing to take a discount from an as is condition or retail price, but when you do traditional cash assignments, you just can't get there. The margin does not allow it, but it would be allowed because in a lot of instances, houses can be novated, um, and they don't need that huge margin. The formula is a little different. It's much easier, and it allows for a less margin while getting the seller and the wholesaler myself more money a lot of times, which is, I think, also very cool. And so my LLC is Garcia REI Consulting LLC. I made that years ago because I worked as a 1099. And so they paid my LLC, but it truly is, in this case, now I've stepped into more of a consulting role on JV partners deals where they fall into a couple categories. They're either already under contract as a cash assignment and they can't sell it as a cash assignment. No, they don't have enough margin. They're locked up too high. The price that they've given the seller is too much, and so there's not enough margin to sell to the end buyer, in which case I'm able to come in and flip that. Nice. Take
I'm
it
listening. I
off.
just wanted to get the
Oh
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're good. Yeah, so in that case, the deal's already under contract, but let's say they're coming to the end of their inspection period, or they are coming to the end of their contract period, or they had a buyer and they're coming to the contract period, and the buyer backs out, and the deal is about to blow up. Well, instead of, because you have a couple options as a wholesaler, if you know you're locked up too high, first option is, let's go back to the seller and get a reduction or renegotiation of the contract price to a lower amount. Well, I mean, anybody that's done this for a long period of time knows not most sellers are not going to be that happy and not that willing to do that. There are instances where you can make that happen, and of course, do that. But if that's not a possibility, then what's really the other option? If you can't find the buyer and the seller's unwilling to cooperate with you, the only other option is to just let the contract go. Nobody wants to do that. You've put in time, effort, and energy to get that across the finish line, and it doesn't work, and that lead cost you money. Not only actual an actual cost, but a potential loss as well, because you were supposed to have income coming from that deal that is now not going to come in. So it's just a
Right.
big mess. The value that I bring is I say, look, a lot of those deals can actually be monetized through Novation. So I will split them with you 50-50. You can realize 100% of half of that realized profit that you would not have gotten, or you get zero and you just let it go. So send it to me. I will take it. Me and my team will take it to the finish line. You don't have to do a single thing. You just get paid to give us a warm handoff, and I can either flip that dead cash contract to an Novation. And when I do that, it's we're actually, what we're doing is like recalibrating the seller's expectation of the deal. So it can be easier in a sense if you know what you're doing. But basically, the seller on the front end, when they're doing a cash deals, it's going to be a quick cash deal. You're the buyer. You're a fix and flipper. A lot of wholesalers, you don't do it that way. No shade or anything. This is why Novations are great, because they know I'm not the buyer, and it makes it a lot easier. And you're doing it in 30 days or less, right? So that's their expectation on the front end. Now, when you can't meet that expectation, I have to come in and have a reason for it. And that's why if I underwrite it and it makes sense at the number that they have it locked up at, I love doing that. Love being able to like come in and save the day and say, hey, there's going to be a couple different, things that we're going to change by the deal, but the end result, the net result to you is going to be the exact same thing. You just got to give us a little more time to make that happen for you. So that's the first way. The second way would basically be like a normal, just like lead submission where they're not locked up yet, but you've taken them through your entire normal cash assignment like deal process. So you go, your trial closing, you're getting them down, you give them an offer, they reject it, renegotiate and you try to get them down, you give them comps to support that low valuation, you give them all the reasoning, and maybe you get them down a little bit, your trial closing and bring them down, but there's still that gap that you can't bridge. What are you going to do? I mean, you can put them in a follow up, but I know my first deal I had in our CRM, I'd given them cash offers multiple times, and we'd followed up with them for almost a year and a half. It was never going to work as a cash deal. My first one, it was in Indiana, in off of Worsville Road in I can't remember the name. It was it was Greater Indianapolis area. It was somewhere around there,
Mhm.
southeast of Indy, and I remember it great because it was such a tough deal. But we got it done, and it was a net profit of like 50 or 60 grand, somewhere in there. So that was the first novation that we did on a deal that would have never made sense as a cash assignment. And even if we were able to like somehow by miracle have gotten it down to a cash number, we probably would have made like 5 grand on the assignment, something like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we got them more money, we got paid more money, and we were able to do like help them out with the move and like pods like storage and like coordinate all that for them because we had the margin to work with. So it was a much
Yeah.
smoother process for them, much more pleasant like experience, because that's really what we're selling as an experience and a service rather than like hey, just a quick cash sale. Here's what down and dirty. And so yeah, those are the two ways that I kind of landed on what I'm doing and take my deal to the finish line.
Yeah, it's a win-win. When is there like you mentioned that like a lot of wholesalers offer like 70% of what the home is, not what it's worth now, but what it's going to be worth, like ARV, like meaning the price
Yeah.
that it's worth after all the fixes are done. Like 70% of that value, say a home is worth, $100,000 ARV, you have to offer as a wholesaler like $70,000 on a $100,000 home minus repairs. Say, and to get to your point, maybe it's like $20,000 that needs to be put into it. So now you're offering them $50,000
Mm-hmm.
on a $100,000 home. Is there like
And that's
is it just
before you didn't factor in an assignment fee. You as a wholesaler are not paid yet.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The
So you
assignment
got to
fee, like
then
any holding costs, you gotta like factor in for the well, I guess that
that's
again
factored
is
in
baked in
that 30
that
percent.
30%
Yeah.
margin. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess yeah, and then but yeah, even like buyers they get more conservative depending on the market and the interest rate, so it might even be
Mm-hmm.
lower than 70% in some areas.
Yeah. Could
What
be.
about like is there a sweet spot like on like say if you wholesalers are offering effectively 50% or 70% of ARV. Is there
Yeah.
like a sweet spot where like that like a Novation could get you like X amount, 80% or 75% or is it just hard to say, or is there like a sweet spot?
Well, I mean, it can work at any price point. So that's the great thing about Novations because, like to your point from earlier, it's getting put on the market. So your buyer pool is the MLS. I don't care what buyers list you have, investor list, whatever. The MLS has more buyers.
All right.
So, so
Because not
you know,
everyone's an investor. There's more people living in homes and investing in homes.
there you go. And they're not doing it as a some type of investment strategy where they're going to be looking on a spreadsheet and like, you know, the wife's going to be like, "Babe, I love this home. I can see our kids growing up here, and then we can move on to just be a starter house, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll pay them more. They're going to pay a higher price because it's a sentimental thing, it's an emotional thing. It's not
Right. But
necessarily a numbers
there's
based
no like
decision.
formula, right? There's no formula
Yeah,
to be like, hey, this if you're getting, this price on a home, like we're definitely able to offer this, on a there's no like 70% of ARV
right.
minus repairs type of thing.
Right. Yeah, they're going to
No.
most likely pay full retail value. So that's where you can get more for it. Now, the caveat to that is because you can put any home on market, anywhere from a fixer all the way to luxury price points, multi-million dollar homes, you can do the entire range. Obviously, your offer and the listing price that you land on has to reflect the market and the condition of the house, but if it's a fixer, you're most likely still going to have investors. You just have access to more of them because
Right.
um, there's going to be more eyes on it.
When you're putting it on the market, do you put it on the market with an agent that you like, know, and trust, or do you use like a flat listing fee? I know you're doing it nationwide, so I imagine you don't have like an agent in every single city that you
Okay,
build a strong relationship with.
here is one thing that will say don't ever do for a couple of reasons, which is put a proper. We've done it. Okay, so I'm not saying we haven't done it. It's a much bigger risk, and you limit the volume that you can do. But don't novate properties by putting them on a flat fee. That is something that there are people who are doing novations teach, and it's a way to cut costs and stuff. But you end up, I think, putting yourself in a higher position of liability because not only you're not at arm's length in the transaction. So you have assigned a attorney in fact. You signed a listing agreement on the seller's behalf. You signed the purchase agreement, and you're the one acting as an agent in a sense. Yeah, the broker is listed it, the flat fee broker is listed it, but you're doing the negotiations, you're taking the calls, you're doing all the
Right.
day to day, which is all of the job duties of a real estate agent. So you're not at arm's length. So there can be a way to open yourself up to liability should something go wrong. Not only that, you've already factored in the formula when I do the underwrite, I'm already factoring in full commissions on both sides. I want both agents to be incentivized to do a great job on the listing side and to get us an offer quickly, and I want buyers agents to be incentivized to bring us offers and work for us. So I want on both sides. So I'm already factoring in the commissions and making sure that the net profit is at least at our minimum. So don't try to cut corners there because you end up putting there's a little more risk involved, and you're going to have to take all those calls. You're going to
Yeah.
have to set appointments. You're going to have to vet everybody and deal with that. Let the agents do that. That's what they're getting
Yeah.
paid for, and you can do a lot more higher volume of deals if you just manage your agents that are working for you. So we do
Because
have
you're
a
not
process. Yeah, what?
you're not going to be able to lock up more innovations if you're trying to be a real estate agent at the same time.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, if you want to do that, go get your license and do it that way. But we don't. We don't want to do that. We want to do um, these in any state we can and do them nationwide and help a lot of wholesalers monetize more of their leads because I guarantee, there's at least 15 to 20% of your dead deals or dead leads in your CRM if you're a wholesaler, cash wholesaler doing any type of marketing right now. 20%, 15% at least of those leads could be novated. That's where I got our
Right.
first deal in a $60,000 pot. Um, so yeah, just let them do that, and you can worry about delegation. of duties and working on offers and all that with the agents you do hire. We do have to your point, we don't have an agent in every single market across the country, but we are really good. And we've gotten to a point now that I can sniff out the guy who just says he's good versus the one that's actually going to be good and go above and beyond for us. So we do have a process to vet and choose our agent.
Yeah, I imagine if I did, I'd probably go in like bigger pockets, or I'd probably go to sub two first and ask around, and then because we're in this sub two group, but then I'd probably go to bigger pockets like Agent Finder or something like that to make sure that they're investor friendly and they know what a novation is and all that
Well,
stuff.
yeah, I mean that could work. That's not part of our process. We actually look right around the subject properties, see agents that are active and that have closed deals and have current
Right.
deals listed in that area because they're active agents right now. I think something like 70% of agents last year didn't sell a single deal in
Yeah, yeah.
2024, something like crazy like that. Not all agents are the same. We always said like as a funny thing, like, oh, my agent said this. It's like, okay, well, your agent doesn't really know what they're talking about. But what do you call a doctor that graduated last in their class?
Doctor.
A doctor, right?
Yeah.
They got the same title. You don't know which one. So same thing with agents.
hmm Um, like how we're both sipping drinks here. I got a soda. So are you worried about like them going around your back and just hiring an agent, or why wouldn't they just hire an agent to begin with? Is it
Mm,
did you just get to
hmm
them first and you know
That's a good
like
question. Yeah,
yeah,
there's a little bit of that. Yeah, I mean the great thing about this is that because we're being upfront, and they know the type of transaction, we're dealing with a seller that doesn't want to deal with an agent. If they're
yeah,
if they're saying like, yeah, I've got an agent. I mean, if I don't get something from you, I'm just going to list it. And, they've helped me, list a lot of my properties, blah, blah, blah. You're probably not talking to like your archetypal seller that you're trying, your avatar of seller that you're looking for. You want somebody like the best, like absolute, just like best seller is going to be somebody that, maybe has like one or two rental properties or inherited a property out of state and they don't want to deal with it. They don't have time. They have a busy job or they have, a big family they got to take care of. They have some reason why it's like something they just want off their plate, but they're not willing to take your low ball cash offer. They do have some idea of what it's worth. And so, but they're willing to take the discount on it because they're they're like, it's a quid pro quo. You're doing this for me, I'll kind of do that for you, and bonus points if it's vacant. So we've done vacant portfolios, we've done owner occupied primary residences, we've done occupied rentals. So we've done the entire gambit, but that right there is like the easiest one to do because we don't have to deal with tenants or owners who live there. Any type of occupancy is going to make it tougher to get in and out, but we deal with it if that's the case. We're not; those aren't disqualifications by any means.
to your typical sellers, do they, a lot of these people, I imagine, at least I talk to, and they don't want to work with an agent, but a lot of it's because they don't want to have to do the showings and stuff. Do you make sure the agents are like understood or like are on the same page with, hey, like we're not going to show this property until there's like an approved contract and like proof of funds already ready to go, or is that process change? Do you have a process with that?
Well, I mean, they have to be open to some type of walkthroughs. The selling point for the Novation, if they do bring that up, because I have had that. We had that on one off of a road called Dunn Creek Cemetery Road that we did actually end up closing on. They didn't really want. They told me up front, and basically I was like, look, nobody. The thing that you end up getting when you hire an agent who's going to do open houses and have a for sale sign and all that stuff is that I mean you're gonna have a bunch of looky loos, your neighbor down the street that hates you, who wants to see kind of like what the inside of your house looks like, and any Joe, Dick, and Harry off the street can come in to your house. Um, we are going to vet buyers, make sure they're legitimate, they're pre-approved, they're qualified, and that they aren't just door or tire kickers before they get a chance to come in. A lot of times, what we'll try to do is like stack the showings on one day, for a couple hour window.
Right.
I like thinking out of the box. If they're really opposed to it, I'll get them a gift card to some lunch or dinner spot in that area, and have them leave the house. We'll definitely do that if for like inspections, if they live there. But if I need to, I'll kind of pull that out to get them out of the house for like a large block of time for
Yeah,
multiple showings
that'll
too.
motivate them. What
Yeah,
if
just
in that vein, I'm guessing you guys do open houses, or is that eliminate no open houses at all?
no, definitely open. If you know, if it's something that we need, definitely an open house. Open houses are great. The thing is that you asked like why wouldn't they hire an agent? It's there's a plenty of different reasons. They're out of state. They don't want to deal with it. They don't like agents. They don't have a good like agents in some cases for some people don't have a good reputation. They don't feel like they're um, paid commensurate with the level of work they do. Like they've had a bad experience. They don't want to go through the traditional process. They don't want to. They don't want to have to like do the negotiation back and forth. Um, they see a value in what we would call our white glove concierge service. You know, when I'm on the phone with them and I'm building up this sales momentum on the call, you know, I'm building on this value that you're not going to have to lift a finger. You don't have uh, any repairs, any cleanup, anything that needs to be done. It comes out of our pocket. If the buyer requests repairs or concessions coming of our side, you're getting this. So the other thing they like is I have an end date and I have a guaranteed net profit or net income from this sale. Those are the other things. Whereas you have a 6-month listing agreement with an agent and you don't really know where they're going to end up. They're going to try to get this number, but it could land anywhere, you know, from there and on down as they reduce price. So those are other, you know, actual tangible aspects of the innovation that make sense for people sometimes is that, you know, they have a guaranteed sale on a much shorter time window. They don't have to do anything. They have no risk of having to do repairs or anything like that because we take care of it. So
Right. So they get
yeah.
that guaranteed number. No, it's not the price you put on the market minus the agent commission minus the closing
Mhm.
costs. It's you give them the number straight up and then you bake in all that other headache on your end and
That's
you
right.
kind of take it out of your estimated profit. Um,
I mean, shoot, there's a guy right now we're about to close on his house in New York this month. Who and we told him not to, so this is not like a standard thing. I told him he needed to pay the mortgage, but he stops paying the mortgage. So he was only getting $1,000 in equity. Oh, it was just like this weird deal. He's just really working with us. So I'm kind of letting it go, especially because there's a massive margin. There was like this is like a $50,000 or $60,000 deal too. So I'm just like, okay, cool. That those penalties, fees, and his missed mortgage payments are coming out of my side. So we're essentially paying that for him um, at close because he has no other money, and because he only got $1,000 in his equity, you know, we're just going to eat it. But that's, I mean, he's protected. We're able to do that for him, and he doesn't have to do a single thing. He's going through a bunch of medical stuff. He does not want a headache of trying to sell a house, and he was totally fine being able to just move down and live with his sister in Florida, and us take care of his house in New York and deal with all the headache that has come along with it because there has been a ton.
yeah. No, that's cool that you're able to help people out and give them like that white glove service and kind of go above and beyond even when people aren't paying their mortgage. It's that should go without saying. You got to pay your mortgage. But
Got to pay.
yeah, for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself buying and holding in the future, or do you see yourself doing this for the long term? Like do you are you doing anything else outside of Novations?
Oh yeah, so 100%. I mean, I talk to my wife almost daily. She's probably sick of me by now. By the way, any San Diego realtors that hear on this looking for a 4 unit preferred, if it's a 3 unit, that's okay too. But 4 unit that I'd like to burr kind of house hack.
Oh yeah,
So I do want to like start there. I think that's probably the best way to do is just kind of like slowly, you know, build up your portfolio. And then as I increase capital over time, I, you know, and have other houses I can leverage equity against and use that for down payments, then I'll kind of rinse and repeat that way. But the 4 unit, you know, house hack, you know, and renovating each unit, you know, and then pulling out equity at the end of the year or at the end of the renovation process, I think probably the best way to go about it. So I would like to, and yes, I would like to have a portfolio that I can pass on to my children and, you know, retire early and all that. So definitely.
yeah. So that's in San Diego.
Yep.
Anywhere in particular in San Diego, or Does it have to be on Claremont Mesa Boulevard or?
No, yeah, yeah. I would love to be on one of the mountain streets. That'd be great, but no, it doesn't have to.
Has to be next to a Starbucks
You're right. Yep,
at least.
definitely.
No,
Within
that's cool,
walking
man.
distance.
I that's kind of the dream too. Would you ever? I got a home too. I'm about to rent it out, like a single family. But would you ever like buy a single family with a large lot and like build anything on it, or you would
Oh
just want to go
yeah.
straight to like a already pre-built fourplex?
No, I mean that's definitely an option too. I mean, I'm open to anything that makes sense. I really have no set, like I'm not going out of this lane when it comes to purchasing property, and especially when you talk about, San Diego and California in general with the ADU legislation that's come out and the ability to build, like man, and develop lots. Oh yeah, that's huge. So much potential there. That's
Yeah,
definitely something that I would like to do in the future.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the dream is making the active income while kind of building up that well, I'd call it war chest, but put up the portfolio while you're you know,
Yeah.
looking for retirement one day. I'm trying to think of, is there anything else I missed to talk about? Is there anything
Well,
I like that? Oh yeah, here you go ahead. But I also want to ask, like, what do people need to know about what you do and know about Novations that like I haven't asked. I call it the Chat GPT question, where like, give me some good questions to ask, and
okay.
I have the
Okay.
AI shoot out some questions.
Yeah, let me table that for 2 seconds. I will say if anybody has, because I do, like I said, we flip land. I flip land with another partner. So that is the other active income that
Oh,
I
cool.
I participate in. And I'm a cog in that wheel. I'm technically like an acquisitions manager with my buddy Ryan here in San Diego, who's an agent out here. But we do land from Fresno to Bakersfield, Central Valley. You would be blown away, dude, at how many transactions, what the volume of transactions and the average assignment fee we can get out there with the process that we do. Which I don't want to divulge too much because it's not my process, but I guess the one thing I'll say is if you are an agent out there or know of an agent out there, we'd like to partner with you, and we basically do a 25% split for bringing us buyers out there. And I mean, right now there's 300 plus parcels under contract that we're selling. So
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So that's the
so it
other aspect
I,
that I do. Yeah,
I don't want to if you're not trying to divulge too much, but are you doing the process where you buy a large chunk of land and then you subdivide it into smaller pieces and sell those off?
we haven't done it yet, but they sent out a specific campaign, specific like a marketing campaign because we do direct mail.
Yeah.
But they did send that out, a campaign specifically for subdivisions. So we're going to be doing that this year for sure. But that's not
Okay.
what we're
What are the
doing
areas
now.
again?
Fresno to Bakersfield right now. So that whole like
Okay.
Central Valley, and then the next on the map it would be like southeast is going to be like Antelope Valley, Apple Valley, Hesperia, Porterville, Victorville, kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be
That's
kind of probably the next place we go.
that's good. Here's some questions I had ChatGPT ask. Um, is there any
Okay.
concerns if a seller has a HELOC or second mortgage? I don't even know if that's applicable, but
Only if I
is
don't know about it.
well, if you don't know about it, yeah, okay.
If that comes
Um,
up on a prelim towards the end, then I have not factored that in. That's a big problem. Oh yeah. But no,
oh,
if
okay.
I knew about it on the front end, no problem. As long as I factored that into the underwrite, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number six, that's a dumb question. Oh, the big one. I don't even know why I didn't ask this. Here, let me turn this off.
Mm,
When I first heard about Novation through the Sub 2 mentorship, I heard Pace Morby explain it, and like he explained it in a way where you're buying a property and you're going in there and you're fixing it up for the seller, and you guys
yeah.
are you're partnering on the fix up. But
Hmm.
the way I'm hearing about Novations from like YouTubers and like sounds like you, there's not there's little if any like renovating the property while it's not
Hmm.
yours, right? You have the agreement.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit risky, but like do you do that ever? Like do you like ever put a fresh coat of paint or anything on while it's under contract?
Yeah. So that's a really good point. Really good point. There are different types of innovations, and it depends on who you hear from. If you're doing the Pace Morby type of novation, that's where you're doing all this work. You're partnering with the seller. They're splitting profits with you at the end, and the reason, I mean, there's a couple reasons why I don't do that. Number one, if I'm doing nationwide, I don't have vetted contractors in every market, and it's hard enough to manage a flip in your, physical market that you're in. So that's number one. Number two, it is very risky if unless you have. I mean, even if you do put a mechanics lien on the property or some sort of lien that attaches that rehab cost to the property itself. Let's just walk you through an example. If you do a bunch of work and they back out of the deal, and okay, let's say you're secured with the lien, for your $30,000 mortgage or rehab. Great. Well, how do you get that back? How do you recoup that? You can take them to court. That takes a lot of time, a lot of effort and energy, and just like resources. Maybe you get it, or maybe you don't. And if you don't, then you're going to have to wait until your your seller sells a property. Which, I mean, my mom still lives in her the house that I grew up in. They've lived there for 30 something years. So you have to wait until a resale happens or a refinance or something like that, where a title report is pulled and they see your lien on there, and then they contact you and you get the lien released by payment. Otherwise, you're out that rehab cost and the seller is just walks away. So that's one reason why I just, don't do that. The other reason is you become a fix and flipper, and the scalability nationwide drops drastically. And, that's just not the business model. The business model is what I call a no flip novation or no
Right.
fix novation.
You don't want to be an
Um,
agent or a contractor. You
there
you
you
just
go.
want to
Yeah.
be a guy that does
Right
novations and
in that
get
middle spot.
be
Yeah.
really good at that.
Yeah, exactly. Be a good delegator, be a good connector, communicator. That's basically what, yeah, a good a person that's doing novations, if they're doing it well, they're handling, they're making sure that they're mitigating any issues on the front end. If they come up, they're handling them, making the transaction smooth for the seller, and then delegating all the things that they need to do with. In this case, like New York, that's an attorney state. I got to work with an attorney and an agent, which I, attorney states suck, but you're just making things happen for them and getting it across the finish line, right?
Yeah, I was doing door knocking for foreclosures out here too, and I went to the auction quite a few times just to kind of see the process and see how
Mm.
properties get bought when they
Oh yeah,
go through full foreclosure. And there would always be homes. There's homes now. They do the auction like twice a month here
at the
in
Elkhorn
the
courthouse, right?
county at the courthouse. Yeah, and then there's like a few of the same properties that are just they're always on the chopping block but never get there. They keep getting out of it over and over and over again, like professionals. And I met a Novation guy there that like he did the thing that we said not to do is to he went and renovated the house and then they're there like all the time just checking in on the house, hoping it gets like auctioned off so they can get their money back because they
Mm.
renovated the home and the owner never paid it. So
Uh,
these people are
nightmare,
pros.
dude.
They got people knocking on their door all the time trying to get that money, trying to buy their
Yep.
home, and they're just not selling, and they're just gonna ride it out as long as they possibly can.
In California, you can ride it out for a long time,
Yeah, it's
long
been at
time.
least I don't know if it got sold by now, but on it was there on the list for over at least over a year, and
Yeah.
it was there for years. So you don't want to
Yep.
get caught with your pants down on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Now I will say there's a couple things that I will almost always, if it's needed, always do and be okay with, which is clean up, an interior and exterior cleanup, which could include like a pressure wash on the outside, landscaping, obviously a deep clean of the inside, interior inside. And so we will most definitely do that a lot of times, especially if it's vacant, because it shows better. If you've got better listing photos, and you're going to get more traction and activity. So those definitely we do. Light touch up paint, maybe like a cheap, we did in the bathroom, we've done like cheap flooring, replacement. If it's just like absolutely awful and we need to like, get something fixed, we will. We had to replace a window in one. Um, so things that we'll do those types. So on the front end, we'll do the things that make the property look better and list better, because those generally end up having a huge ROI. Like best ROI you could do are those two things. And then on the back end, like when we've got our buyer, they're bringing their lender and they're doing their appraisal and inspection for the lender. Lender's going to sometimes say, especially if you've got like an FHA or VA loan, they have special requirements. But even if it's just conventional, sometimes they'll have certain things that need to be. You got two things. They either need to be fixed before closing, which you can't get around. If the lender won't finance the sale unless you fix it prior to closing, then you just got to fix it. You just got to eat it, and then you'll get it reimbursed through your assignment fee. The other thing that I would much rather prefer doing if I have to is a concession. That way I don't have to do the work. I'm just giving you a concession. I'm giving you some cash, and just, letting that cash go prior to close so that we don't have to do any work. You just get a little money back for the fix, and then you go do it when you own the house as the buyer.
Right.
Both. Yeah. Sometimes sellers they're like, I just need to clean up. I don't stop them. We're just like, okay, that sounds great. When do you think you'll have that done by? I don't like necessarily, unless they live there and I'm like, hey, we need to take photos. Do you think you can, like spruce it up a bit, maybe tidy it up, do that? Because they live there, it's their stuff. But yeah, especially if it's vacant, I'm sending in a house cleaner to like deep clean it and make it look nice.
Yeah.
It's the same as well, any occupant makes it harder to do innovation, just period.
In general.
In general, yeah. Because it's lived in, typically, it's going to be messy. You got to have them try to clean up. Tenants are even less motivated because if they don't own the house, they have no incentive. In fact, they have every incentive to slow the wholesale down because a lot of times they don't want to move. They're not walking with anything. They're not the owner, right? They're not getting paid to move. So they could be a lot. They could definitely make your life, much harder.
That's not specific to Novations. That's just anytime you have tenant living in the home and you're trying to sell it.
The exception being there's going to be a lot more walkthroughs, and you just don't want them there. You don't want them there for the inspection, So you just got to find a way to coordinate them being out of the house, or at least let your agent and buyer walk through. Like, as long as they can do that, great. I'm happy. But if I know that a property is tenant occupied on the front end, I do slightly adjust because I know it's going to be a little more challenging.
Right. Right. So, is there anything else that would be good for people to know about you? Like, other than all the super helpful stuff you just said. I'm just showing your Instagram right here.
Hey, there we go.
Take my deal to the finish line.
That's right. Can
you guys can you hear the airplanes overhead? I feel like it's so loud.
It's not that loud. I know it's super loud for you, but at least in my ear, it's not. You're okay.
That makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, is there anything else that people need to know or that would be helpful to know?
Well, I am a Christian, saved by Christ, for like the last 4 years. I'm married my wife in 2021. I've got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. I like long walks on the beach, and I'm just kidding.
Nice.
No, I think that's really it. I really want, my whole goal is to help wholesalers monetize more leads, get paid more. And that's really why I do it. This is a way for both of us to make money. And, it is, yeah, there you go. Nice. Yeah. If you don't know how to do it, like, Brandon Clark, we're closing on hopefully 2 of his deals.
Nice.
I love Brandon. His thinking is like, look, my lane that I stay in, I'm good at negotiating contracts, getting them acquired, and then I can sell them. He's got an investor lift, which we partner with him on, for cash deals. So he does cash assignments. Boom, that's his lane. If he comes across a lead that fits the criteria that we've talked about, right? It's that he can't get it down low enough, then he just passes it over. And we act as an extra arm or branch of his business. That's really what I aim to do. I want to act as a second arm of your disposition department, because I'm going to handle everything. I just need you to do a warm handoff with submit the lead. Let me underwrite it. I'll give you a full market analysis through email. You'll get everything I'm seeing and why I'm, coming to the offer that I'm coming to. And then if it works, I just need you to hand it off, and then I'll take care of the acquisitions call, and then we take care of the disposition pipeline all the way to close, and then you get paid. So yeah, that's it. Boom, right there. First, second, third. It's super easy. And it's like, really, it's like, why not? If you have no other way to monetize them, just handle what you do well. If you do sub twos or cash assignments really well, just do those. And then I can handle this and get you paid even more because those deals would have been dead anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's it's all that time you spent underwriting and talking to the seller. Like that's a significant amount of time just to
Yeah,
lose the sale to, to no
exactly.
one, and then the seller's unhappy because you wasted their time and or they, at least they feel like it, and now they can't even sell their home. So at least this provides an option for them
One
to do
man's
that.
trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, exactly, too. But
I can turn yeah.
yeah, no, Brad, I appreciate you being on, man, too. I gotta say I love your guys' church too. If I didn't go to my church, I'd go to your church over here in San
Have you
Diego.
been? Have you been to
Uh,
Brass?
yeah, I've been several times. Yeah,
Oh,
in
dude,
fact,
you got to come. Where do you go?
I go to San Diego Reformed Church in La Mesa.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Okay. I follow
before
them
I
on
was,
Instagram.
yeah, yeah, awesome. But I was going to Mar Vista, which was it was almost like a Barabbas plant because
Hmm.
one of your pastors, Pastor Matt Cagle, came down there and was leading that until he ended up moving. But
Oh,
so
no, I
very
didn't
very
know that.
familiar with Barabbas. I've been there several times. Know several people from there that we serve
Very
along,
cool.
do evagelism with. So
Yeah, very
awesome.
cool.
And I mean that's the important stuff too. But
Yep,
making money for your family and supporting your family, that's good.
yep.
Novations is one way to do that, and I love it. Thanks for educating me on all this.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
See ya.